Okay, okay, we are alive. Here we are, day two of the Health Now Summit. Wow, this is exciting. I just want to start by giving gratitude. I want to start with gratitude for the divine, for bringing us here to this moment, making this possible. Um, and and to all of you, everybody here joining, everybody here listening, believing that something else is available for you, that health is possible, and being open to learning from these amazing luminaries that we brought together. So let's jump into it because you guys know our sessions have been going super long. So let's immediately start. I am so excited. I have the chills to be introducing Orit Esther. I have been wanting to have this conversation, you guys, really for so long. And now it's happening. Now it's real. So I'll tell you very briefly about Orit Esther, but she's gonna also share more about herself. You guys, um, Orit um, was diagnosed with MS 19 years ago, right? So you guys have heard me go through my journey. Orit and I have that in common. And for her, Emuna, which is the word in Hebrew for faith, trust, that was her answer to getting the healing, the growth, and building a really strong relationship with God. And I don't know if you guys ever heard me talk about this, but for me, the diagnosis was also what brought me to that relationship. So you guys can hear I'm so excited to be having this conversation with her. And and so Orit actually, as a result of that diagnosis, redirected her career. She was a culinary chef, which always amazes me. Every time I hear that, I'm like, wait, what? But I can get it, the creativity. I see that in you. To a very different path and a mission to really spread Emuna, faith, trust in ourselves and God. And you are a beautiful person that believes that every soul is has a powerful light. And so not only have you spearheaded this movement, this mission to spread faith and trust and a deeper relationship with God, and that can heal trauma and pain, but also then guiding others to activate their own healing capacities and to open up their own power within themselves. You have created the Or Emuna, the light of faith, just for everyone to hear the translation there, the Or Emuna Therapeutic Healing Academy platform. You guys can check it out at oramuna.org. We'll put it in the chat. We'll also put it in the replay notes, which is based on transformative healings from the Holy Baal Shem Tov, one of the most incredible Jewish sages. Um, you are a renowned inspirational speaker, author. You guys got to check out her books. And you have your own therapy program, your own energy modality. You're teaching others. Um, we are so honored to be with you today. What an amazing way to take something that could, completely feel like it would ruin your life and turn it into your own mission and purpose. So thank
Right,
you for being here.
we're two reflections of the same mirror,
It's
and
really mind blowing.
totally, and the way we met, and the way that we discussed, and the way that we have paralleled, certain parts of our healing journey is no less than brilliant and phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I also agree, this is long overdue, and I'm so honored and happy to be here. And I want to commend you on all that you bring into the world. I know many of our paths cross, and some of my students and clients often will reflect that they work with you, and how phenomenal the work has been for them, and how you're an inspiration. So, I tip my hat for you. You're doing phenomenal work, and keep going.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you. I'm just thinking now as we're sitting here, just for everyone to know, we met because we ended up sitting right next to each other at a family occasion at like a bar mitzvah. And I would just start talking and it was like, wait, what did you just say? Did you just say MS? Like, wait, what? I was like, is that real? And we had friends sitting across from us, like watching the whole thing happen. And they told me after they were just sort of waiting for us to put pieces
Wow.
together. It's just, that's not random. And I'm just thinking as we're sitting here, like, I wonder if there's something really, in a deeper divine message of MS that like maybe this is what you're being called to. If both of us ended up on this path and guiding others towards healing, like maybe that's in the energetic signature of it. I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
look at us.
Yeah, when the way I teach and the way I relate to wellness, is we're creatures that we don't like too much. We don't like the shifting of the boat too much. Some of us are born with this risky kind of racy kind of personality, but for most of us, we sort of would like to go on the soft stream of life, no quick changes, no abrupt changes or surprises. And that's why we have the saying, no news is good news. Like everything is the way it was yesterday is the way it was today, and I'm good with that. However, Hashem, God really does invite us to expand and to become greater beings. And the only way to do that is to rattle us out of our comfort zone. And as the Jewish people, we believe that we are in a state of exile, which means we're not in our truly wholesome, grounded, centered place to begin with. All of reality is a reality based on exile, and exile really means alienated to some degree or another. You're sort of misplaced. Think about, I mean, it's great to go on vacation, but at the end of the day, you're not going to make yourself so comfortable in the hotel room because you're not really there, for long
Mhm.
term. And then at the end of the day, you got to go back, right? So that's kind of how we view this world. We're here on a journey to fulfill, to become, to elevate and to refine. And so don't get too comfortable. So when we get too comfortable, we're invited and challenged to go into those exiled places and to refine them and to explore them. Now, when you have an emotional, disrupt in your state of being, you tend to push it on the side. You put on a good music, you dance, you're okay. But when something happens to you physically, you can't
Yeah,
ignore it. You rush to the doctor. And I
that's right.
feel like that's what happened with me. I don't know if that was your case, but you kind of you feel the sense of urgency. I've got to go and take care of this.
Yeah, yeah, it's completely different. It was so much easier to sweep anything else under the rug. I mean, I was a child, so I had no awareness that like I was dealing with anything emotional. But yeah, of course, something physical shows up, you're immediately at the doctor. And interesting is you're saying that the physical thing that we were all focused on, these physical symptoms, actually healed my whole family. So even the emotions that like, I learned later, it was helping me so much, but our whole family was struggling. And anytime we were focused on symptoms, our family came together. Our family was functioning, because you're hyper focused on something and it's a dose of perspective of like, wait, what am I complaining about? What am I fighting about? Like,
Wow.
so it's just interesting you say that. It's like, it's everybody, not just that one individual.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what kind of what led me into the energy field in and of itself, because what is the energy? Your energy is what you absorb in life. It's the consciousness
Mhm.
that you absorb in life, meaning, how do you respond to the people who you're facing or the people in your life? How do you respond to them? That's what you absorb in. And then what you take in becomes your emotional and physiological and mental capacity to sort of react to life. and
Mhm.
and then and then it's a cycle. And then on the other hand, you're also in this position where you also emit. So energy is about radiating and about emitting out and about absorbing in. And
Mhm.
it keeps you responsible for the way that you respond to life, because you realize that you're not in your own bubble. There is no such thing. You could be sitting in your own room. You are radiating out a certain field, an image, a
Yeah.
life force that
Yeah.
will impact others, and everything is a boomerang. What you put out there is what you get back. And
Yeah.
so when I was invited to go and explore this MS, right, the truthful part of self, right, that's what in short we say MS, but it's in Hebrew, MS is truth, right? So
Yeah.
when I was invited to explore this truthful part within self, I realized that there are certain parts of self that I need to explore that really are in exile, that have been in exile, and they've been
Mhm.
screaming out. And now God said, don't ignore it anymore.
Wow. That is, I mean, I think it's such a gift that you could even be willing to go there. Was that hard to do? Was it just like obvious out of desperation? Was it right away? How did you land there?
Right. So, um, I do believe that all of us have a truth seeking energy and desire to want to come down to the bottom line of like, like what is life about? We all have an innate inside of us this desire to know, like, what am I really about? Like, what is life really about? Come on, like, so we're always looking for it. And some of us will look for it more, some of us will invest in it more, some of us will, enjoy the toys of this world, the whatever the craziness of that this world, invites us to detach and numb and escape all the addictions of our lives and all the
Yeah.
craziness and all the sales that, that we rush to buy and all that. And so, we run away, but at the end of the day, we're always brought back to the same thing. Why am I here? What is this about? Is there a creator? What does he want from me? Why is he invested or not invested in me? And so on and so forth. So I have a
Mhm.
truth-seeking personality just by nature, but everybody has it.
Right.
At the end of the day, we all have so much in common. It's not even funny. Like if we really sat around a round table, we would be like poking each other and saying, "Really, you too?" Like we all have so much in common. It's ridiculous that we have so much arguments and so many clashes within society or within family. We have so much in common.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really true. So we have so much in common, and you were referencing our exiled parts, which means that's also something we can all relate to. So can you shed more light on that for us and what that means for each of us?
Yeah. So I'm very much very, very attuned to the IFS model, internal family systems.
Mhm.
But I didn't learn of this name called IFS until 2 years ago. But I realized that I've been following this model for the past 15 years, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't like, I called it
I don't know
different names.
why it got suddenly so popular 2 years ago. Now everybody's talking about. I'm like, yeah, we learned this in grad school. This was 15 years ago. Why is everybody so
Yeah.
excited right now? But okay, so tell us. So this
It's
you were
very, yeah,
intrigued.
it's a very
Truth is truth.
healing modality once you learn that the idea that you can therapeutically achieve wellness by understanding these parts of self. And it's not for naught that the founder of Dr. Richard Schwartz calls these parts of self exiled parts. He actually
Mm,
calls them exiled parts. So
wow.
what does it mean, exiled emotions? Is all life is about us, our reactivity to life,
Mhm,
right? We
mhm,
come in with a template, with a mindset, with a projection of life, even as a baby, because we
mm,
absorbed it. The way I do energy work is we absorbed this 9 months before our mother even got pregnant with us. In utero, we absorbed a certain collective energy. Energy is a force consciousness. We
yeah,
adapted, we collected this template of the way we relate to life. Okay.
yeah,
And so we come into this world with this template, and then we meet all kinds of different circumstances in life, all divinely designed, and it causes us, it rattles, right? It rattles that template. But it's like, wait a minute, I was brought up to believe that, or I was brought up to believe that, trust that. And then suddenly you meet these circumstances in life, and it's like, but that clashes the model. And
yeah.
then you go into trauma. We go
Mm,
into trauma and we break apart. But because we have to maintain that model of belief has to be, because without that, we have no foundation to stand on. How do we get through life?
right,
So we
right.
break into these pieces. This is my interpretation. I don't know if this aligns exactly with IFS, but this is what I feel
Yeah.
like, sort of paralleling the IFS model, is that we
Mhm,
we, we meet these situations in life, we break apart, and then these parts come into play, take role and active leadership roles when we're met by those same situations that had from the get-go broken us into these parts, and they
yeah,
take an active role, and then we're led by these parts. But
yeah,
there's a wholesome me that
yeah.
knows the truth. And I just want to live in that wholesome place. So I have to
Yes,
keep bringing those parts back in with a compassion, with curiosity, with love, with
yeah,
care, like a little wounded child. This is
yeah.
the inner child, wounded child, therapeutic model. And I just find these, when we go and explore these emotions, these exiled emotions, these parts,
Right.
it enables us to not, first of all, we're in a generation where we are so self-badgering, we're so self incriminating.
Yes.
We get thrust into self-rejection so quickly that this offers us another way of being able to deal with those parts of,
Yeah.
refined, unrefined parts that need just a little bit more tender care, acceptance.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of like what that might look like? Because I know I see this so much. Anybody who calls me and is living with symptoms, that inner critic is so loud. It's painful for me to hear it. Now I get it. I had to go through healing that myself. But now when I hear someone else say it, it hurts. It's like, how can you talk to yourself that way? How can you think about that, about
Yeah.
yourself that way? You're such a precious soul. So this is very, 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 very common. I think it's like an epidemic, you know? It's like everybody is this intense self-critic. So how do we work through that? I don't know one person living with physical symptoms that's not beating themselves up in their
Right.
mind all day long.
That's why, oh, so many autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune is the essence of autoimmune is self-infliction, affliction.
Yeah.
We afflict ourselves. There's an enemy inside, and the enemy is not translated into a physiological essence, but the body feels like, oh, you're so rejecting. I guess you
Right.
must be rejecting something inside. Let's go look for it. And then, the whole cycle. So hence a lot of different autoimmune diseases, which are really self-afflicted, self-hatred diseases and
Right.
illnesses. So when we understand though, that first of all, there's nothing wrong with the response level of self-hatred. Like even that itself, like you tell your client, you know what, I understand why you would hate yourself, but guess what? You're maybe hating just a part of you. So even just
Mm,
to explain that, you're really not
wow.
hating your whole self. Because if you
Right.
really hated your whole self, you wouldn't be getting up in the morning, you wouldn't be doing
Right.
half the things you are. There are parts of you that really cherish life. And there are parts of you that really believe that you are efficient, lovable, worthy. So let's just take those parts. The parts
Mm,
called I hate myself. I can't believe I did this. And where does that come from? You're asking, like, where does this whole exiled emotional space come from? It comes from us feeling, really, at the core of it all, it comes from this place of feeling that God at one point didn't take care of us. And so we were left to our own wits, and we made mistakes. And when we made mistakes, we ruined and messed up the world. And we've fallen short to our mission, to what we came down to do. And
mm,
yet, maybe even if that's true, but that's not all of me. And that doesn't mean that it's not correctable and not repairable. So it's acknowledging, okay, I get it. You feel bad that you did something. You hate the fact that you did something. Let's take that part and let's speak to the part that you hate. But that's not all of you. It's not
It's
all
not
of
all
you.
of you. It's not all of you. And so being able to look at this as a part is is the only way through. Because if you're
Right.
focused on this as me, there's no way out.
Right.
There's no way
Right.
out. So we really have to break that down. We have to break that down. This is so, so,
If,
so,
if
so
I if I say I am bad, so now what?
right,
The I that I know is bad. Okay, so that means I'm stuck. That's it. I'm bad. No,
right,
a part of me feels that I'm bad, or a part of me feels bad.
right.
Something in me feels bad,
Mm,
and that gives me the real me, the centered me, the higher me, the enlightened me, the godly me. It enables me to recognize that I could do something about that part, right?
yeah,
That garment. The way, if you want to look at it from a Torah perspective, the way the Baal Shem Tov teaches, the first Hasidic master, that who brought in really Torah psychology 101. I mean, if you study his teachings and his Torah, it really is so aligned to Torah psychology and understanding and acceptance and compassion, all the things that I speak about and or Emuna speaks about. But really, he talks about garments. He talks
mm,
about all these parts as garments, and that you can take off your garment. And yes, your garment, you have, hot cocoa and it spills. Okay, change your clothes. Change your
right.
clothes. Right?
It's so beautiful to be able to distill it in that way. To just distill it in that way because oftentimes it's like we kind of we can easily get stuck in that and that can become our identity. That's how I talk to myself. I am bad. I am wrong. I always do it wrong. Like, but even if you've done that for the last 10 years, you could just change your shirt.
You can till the
You don't
last
have to keep
dying
cleaning
breath.
part of you up. Yeah.
Right. I always, I'll tell all my students the same thing. You're 6 feet above the ground. You could do something about it. You could do
Oh,
something about it.
yes, I love this. I love this. And I also love how there's such a sense of ownership and responsibility. I think um in our society today, there's like a big reaction to this push within the field of psychology and spiritual awakening of like being with the feelings, honoring the feelings. And you have these other side of people going like, what is this? Like, why are we coddling everyone? But what you're describing is actually it's an immense sense of responsibility. And you said something really profound. I just want everyone to make sure you didn't miss it, guys. That
Right.
you said, the core of all of this is I felt like God left somewhere, that he wasn't there for me at some point. And that's when you said that, like my heart hurt because even
Yeah.
with all the work that I've done, that I'm doing every day, it's like all I want is to be home with God. Like I just want to know you're there all the time.
Right.
We all have that somewhere. And then you said, like, so then if I'm hurting, it's also probably just an awareness that there's something I still haven't done yet that I need to do. And that is so important that we can all say, like, I really need to own this. I really need to take responsibility for this here. And
Yeah.
something I see a lot with people living with illness is that it's sort of like they're feeling stuck, right? It's like I can't live my purpose. I can't go do the things that I want until I'm better. When I'm better, I'll get to do it. But look, this is stopping me. And so I I would love to hear if you could comment. I have my way of guiding people because I don't think like no, like the body won't heal if you're waiting, right? You can't keep waiting. So I want to know what your approach is to that so that people can be in their purpose, be in their mission without having to wait.
Right. So because I studied the Torah, the Baal Shem Tov, and I really, I bring it into my life in a very, very palpable way. One of the main focus points, one of them, there's many focus points of the Torah, the Baal Shem Tov, Torah psychology, and healing in the Jewish way is really what I would call it, is trusting and believing that you have free will. Free will is a very important part of healing. If you don't believe that you can unstuck yourself, right? If you could unobstruct yourself, I'm purposely using that negative form. Like if you don't believe that there is a way out, that there is something, even if it's something small, but there's something that you could do in regards to your situation, that is where you fall deeper and deeper into a decline. And exactly, that's exactly what happens in the unfortunately, many therapeutic offices. This idea of, oh, I feel so bad for you. That must be so hard for you. And then the person's like, here, even my therapist feels bad for me. Like, even they say to me that I'm a victim. And in Hebrew, we call it
Right,
miskin. Like, I'm a victim and I can't do anything about it. And
right.
it's so disempowering
Yes.
that according to Torah psychology, there's always something that you could do. And oftentimes it's your response that you can change.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe yes, we're stuck with MS, so to speak, on the paper, but can I choose the way I respond to my MS? Can I choose to say, okay, yes, I am severely potentially limited in this, but do I still have that? Again, here's the parts. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to take over my entire life. There are parts of my life that I can resource from, and I can use those parts. So I teach this. And unfortunately, the way that the medical world sees life is they rely highly on you need to take something in order to feel better. Like you need to take a medicine, right? You need to change it heavily relies on this whole biochemical, process. And yet with energy, it's subtle. It's a subtle shift, right? You in fact is even though you can't necessarily measure it, right? That's the issue with energy medicine versus conventional medicine and therapy. But there's an innate what the energy model believes in is that we have an innate activating life force connected to our divine image, and it's there. all healing is self-healing. And if you could just come to a place of recognizing that your pain is a call out, just like you're being awakened from the pain and you want to rush to heal. Where do you think that came? Where did that urge come from? From above, from your higher self. There's something that needs to change. So you're changing it by going to the doctor and making him a mini God and relying on him and thinking that he's going to give you the medicine that's going to save your life. But there's really a higher calling to that. I didn't say don't go to the doctor, but
Yeah, we
parallel
don't do
something
that.
else. That's
Thank
the
you for the
outer
message.
world. What
Yeah.
about your inner world? Your
Yeah.
inner world is also crying out.
Mm,
And so activate the inner healing, light that is divinely given to you. You don't
yeah.
have to go to the pharmacy per se. You have another pharmacy inside.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so beautiful. It's so profound. And I'm just thinking back to, when I was pretty young, when I was a teenager, I was running a support group for other adolescents with MS. There was very few, like basically like across the country.
Hmm.
One of the things I noticed, I would always get the call because it was so rare. So like everyone knew there's this girl, Kaley. If
Right.
anybody else got diagnosed, they called me. And and I could really see the difference in the disease trajectory when someone kind of just trusted everything the doctor said. Like, I mean, I was told when I was diagnosed, I was told I'd be in a wheelchair by the end of high school. Don't plan on going to college. Like basically, like you're not going to have a future.
Ay,
Who says that to a child, right? Thank God I didn't listen to that. And instead, it actually lit a fire in me. It was like, I got to prove him wrong.
mm,
Um, but other people can take that and listen to it and go home and trust that. And what you're saying is you have to go to the inner voice. What is that inner calling? And I really saw the difference in people who just said, okay, that's it, it's over. And the ones who said, I'm being called to something. There's something going on here. And would pull on their inner resources. I saw such a difference
yeah,
in the development of disease. It was profound. It was profound to see one would just progress, and the others would have like ups and downs, but their mindset was everything. And I'm not talking about this is way before I figured out or even thought someone could completely heal. This is
right,
just watching how our daily, every moment to moment psychology impacts the body.
right. So if we understand that energy therapy, which is why I'm so aligned with this, that energy therapy, as I said before, the energy force is your consciousness, it's your awareness, it's your projection of your reaction, right? And it's made up of a lot of parts of self, but it's basically made up of your thoughts, your emotional, patterns, your thoughts, your ancestral patterns of the conditioning of what you've been handed down from your family
Mhm.
members. That's also mixed up into it. But again, that is within, that's around us. But we have to understand that our awareness is like an image plastered onto our body, and it's constantly projected outward.
Mhm.
So the way that my inner world, the way that I feel within myself, shaped again by my emotions, my thoughts, my spiritual alignment, my physical state, my ancestral pattern, all of that is my energy field, my energy presence. I'm projecting that outward, and
Mhm.
and then everything is a boomerang. What I project outward comes back into me. But that, if I am in a presence of light, which is really that's what an energy presence is about. It's about being in an enlightened state. There is light around me, there's hope. Here's the free will. I'm not stuck. I'm not a victim.
Right.
There are possibilities. Who is God? God is great. He's not just great, he's endless. I'm made of a godly DNA flowing through my stem cells. I have endless possibilities to heal. I don't care. I keep laughing over this. We used to give kids cigarettes
No.
after a meal, and it was believed, research, we were thrown the stupidity that smoking helps your digestion, and we would hand over cigarettes to our kids after eating a meal. Okay.
This is so horrible.
Yeah, what does that teach you about? Again, I'm not throwing away the whole entire scientific conventional medicine world. I'm just saying, to call it and to say this is what they say, like you said, they project it for me the same way. Kind of get used to the fact that you're not going to be able to walk again once you're in a wheelchair and
Oh,
on a cane. That's it. my doctor looked at me years later and he said, I don't know what the heck he literally says, I don't know what the heck you're doing, but keep doing it. Keep doing it. You know, and we hear this all the time. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to succumb to this. We really don't. We have free will. And the way epigenetics, the way that you surround your genes with the consciousness of awareness of hope and
Yes,
endless possibilities will affect your biochemistry without taking a substance.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, even more powerfully, because they really don't they really haven't cracked the code on what substance you can take to alter DNA, and yet we do have tons of research on how mindset, meditation,
Yeah.
just going for a walk every day actually alters your DNA. You mentioned a word epigenetics. I just want to make sure everybody knows what that is. Epigenetics is how you change, it is a study of how you change your DNA. It is
Right.
a study of how you change your DNA. And exactly as you're talking about Orit Esther, it's actually one of the reasons I love this image. Let me see if I what direction I have to go.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
because to me the DNA it is divine. To me, this is like this cosmic power of DNA. And and rather than it's this like really like weird out there thing that I don't understand, I don't get, which even medicine they tell us like we understand 2% of how DNA functions.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but when we understand it's divine and it's divine energy. And the other thing that you mentioned is like, this like we are energy. Okay, so I can't see it. But they actually have there are actually machines that can scan your energy and read your energy field. I think they developed it at the Technion in Haifa, actually in Israel. And so for those who are really like, is this crazy? What is she talking about? What is this energy thing she's talking about? I'm telling you, go get your scan. When you know how massive your energy field is,
Yeah.
I think you will live so differently. I think you will live so differently to know that you're not just this, you are this massive being. And as you said, you put it so beautifully, Orit Esther, it's a projection. And you guys, it's really, really, really a projection. I have the chills as I share this. Like it extends, they have measured at least 9 feet in all directions, at least.
Right.
So we're walking around this ball of like divine fire. Like
Right.
it's
I recently read that some of your electrons in your energy field can travel as far as a football field away. A
wow.
football field away. That was the last thing that I had heard. So can you
That's
imagine
cool. Wow.
and again, this is the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. You are where your thoughts are.
Exactly.
Energy is your thoughts, right? Is your
Yes.
consciousness. So
Yes.
I'm here, and yet
Yes.
I'm really not here if I'm
Right.
thinking about Israel or Honolulu or Alaska, right?
Right.
That's where I am. That's where.
Exactly. And more recently, they've done studies, and this is really, really mind-blowing, where they'll take cells, and they did this especially with like soldiers, right, going through PTSD, for example. So they took a biopsy, they took cell samples, they literally sent them to labs on opposite sides of the world. And when that person was in stress, let's say having a flashback, their cells on the other side of the world showed up as if they were in stress.
Yeah.
They had the cortisol reaction. So everything is energy. Everything is energy. This is not some, I really want you guys to hear this. What Orit Esther is talking about is like, we can see this under a microscope. This is very, very real. And so when we're dealing with these exiled parts, we're really, we're taking it's like energetic hygiene, which then becomes our physical health. It's all connected.
Yeah. And when I teach that, through the energy therapy program or do energy therapy work or the conscious work, so many different programs that I'm involved in, I need to recognize and understand um, that this energy imprint has to flow, right? But what is Etzelem Elohim? What does it mean that we were created in the godly image? It means that our energy fields, our awareness, our light fields, our consciousness reflects divine attributes. And
Mm,
that's where we should be leading ourselves to elevating all of these broken pieces. God is whole. He's perfect. Again, I don't say we need to be whole and perfect all the time, but the goal is to say, where is the light? I've been teaching this for quite some time now. How do you know you found God when you found good? right? And I said, what is the difference between God and good? One letter. Oh,
Oh, I
right?
love
Right? When you go and you say, oh, like that
it.
awareness, the consciousness that God is good. God
Totally.
and life is good. You may
Yeah.
not see it good right now, but in the energy world, in the divine space of flow of light, there is no past, present, or future. God sees everything at once. And
Mm.
so my past, my present, my future are they're all in my it's in my hands right now.
Yeah.
So what I choose right now to believe, to trust, to do, to respond, that keeps the flow going. So
Yes.
if I'm stuck in the past, stuck in my templates, if I'm stuck to the way my reactive space, and that is what means to remain in exile. It means I'm stuck. But
Hmm.
no, there's always a key again. Can I change the way that I'm perceiving this? Can I choose to believe that there is a higher, but pain is part. It's like, you don't believe the cake is only made out of one ingredient. You know that in order to make a cake, you need all ingredients. Pain is an ingredient in making your cake, right?
Mm.
It's part of
Wow.
the process. It's
Wow.
it's an imperative, it's an essential part
Right.
of the outcome of the product that will be produced. I speak in language of chef because I'm a chef, right?
I
Right.
love
So,
it.
but it's not the be all ends all. If I'm stuck in the pain, that means I'm putting in too much of that ingredient
Right.
in the
Right.
final product.
Yeah, and what you're also shedding light on is that most of us, when pain comes up, we want it to go away. Make
Yeah.
it stop. Whether it's emotional or physical. If it's emotional, let me eat something instead, let me watch a movie, let me distract myself, right? Just make it end, right?
Mm,
Or, that's when also people are developing addictions. And if it's
yes.
physical, also, let me take something, like, this has to stop.
Yeah.
And 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 what I find is that even when people try to start to go the natural direction, there's they're not taking something for the pain, but then they're still in the pain and really focused on the pain. When you're so focused on how do I get this to stop, what you're actually focused on is pain, and where focus goes, energy flows, right? The Baal Shem Tov teaches us where your thoughts are, that's where you are. Guess what you're going to create a lot more of?
Right.
Pain.
Right.
So if instead we do what you just brought to us so beautifully, it's like it's an ingredient. It's an imperative. It's just part of the process. When we can go into the pain, be with it, honor ourselves, take care of ourselves, then there's space to go through. Only then can you get unstuck. But if I'm so hyper focused on this is bad, pain is bad, I need to make it go away, then we're stuck. We just stay there.
Right. I mean, again, we should look God doesn't want us to stay in the pain, but let's just appreciate the idea that pain is a signal that something needs to be changed. If I wasn't in pain, I would have zero motivation to do anything different than the way I am in my life. And that's emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain, psychological pain, all states of pain is just a motivating force for me, right? For me to say, okay, something is blocked. My emotional trauma, my stress, my spiritual disconnection, they all create distortions in my energy flow.
Mm-hmm.
They create a sense of heaviness because the light can't filter into all parts of my body. And darkness is, so to speak, in the energy world, darkness is considered more heavy than light.
Right.
So where
Yeah.
light is not flowing in, there are pockets of darkness, pockets of blocked energy, whatever you want to call it. And not only does that affect me and the flow of energy, think about how important the flow of energy is in your body. Everything is about flow. Your blood flows, your neurological system has to flow so it could shoot, right? Neurological firing going on in your body all the time, telling this gland to secrete and this muscle to spasm and this hand to, point up, whatever. There's
Mhm.
constant flow of communication. Now, what
Yeah.
happens if I have an emotional trauma that's stuck in my kidney or stuck in a person's digestive tract, or because they have a trauma there that affected that part of the body? You have to go into that exiled place of
Yeah.
disconnection
Yeah.
and open it up, bring it. Again, here we go. Bring it, compassion, understanding. Listen to the story of the pain. Sit with the pain. Don't run away. Cry it out. That's why Hashem created Kleenex tissues. Sit and cry it out.
Yeah.
When you're draining out your lymphatic system when you cry. I didn't say all day long, but you're draining your the sewage system, your lymphatic system is being drained out when you cry. Cry it out. Feel it through. Don't escape.
So amazing. It's
Yeah.
so powerful the way you talk about this. I didn't know that about the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
I did read one study once, and this was years ago, way before I did this. So I didn't think to like, I should save this article, but that the molecules of our tears are different depending on the emotion. So the tears we cry from joy, the tears we
Yeah.
cry from sadness or pain. So it's like you're physically moving that emotion out of the digestive tract, wherever it is.
Yeah.
Um, it's so, so, so powerful. And I
Yeah.
know, I know, Orit Esther, you do this work as a practitioner, and I know that you're training other practitioners so people can work with you. But if we're stuck in that place on our own, okay, so we can cry. Is there also when we're feeling a heaviness, a stuckness, is there maybe a practice, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit,
No, no,
that
no.
you could take us through in like even just a couple minutes to experience what would it be like to bring light to that place or where we can take care of ourselves in that moment?
Right. So yeah, we can go through this for just 2 or 3 minutes of what that feels like. Somebody ticked us off, our child just practiced ingratitude. Welcome to my life. Our spouse did this, and we don't feel appreciated, we don't feel acknowledged, we don't feel seen, heard, and so on and so forth. It's a very common, unfortunately, a very, very common thing. The main thing is to set ourselves aside. Now, I know that there are difficulties sometimes to stop what you're doing at that moment when this happens in reality. I talk reality. Okay, great,
Sure.
Orit Esther, tell me about this practice. That's not realistic. So I try to teach it, and I try to be like that expanded space of, okay, but what if you have 10 kids crying at you, like what do you do then? So the idea is to acknowledge the pain at one point, preferably done on the spot. It's like Hashem teaches us to do tshuva on the spot, but he says if you can't do tshuva, which is a sense of realignment of your past transgressions or wrongdoings in terms of your spiritual essence, there's this process called confession, vidui and tshuva, right? If you can't do it on the spot, which it's best to do it on the spot, then Hashem says, you know what? You could go ahead and do that once a year. I'm going to give it to you once a year to do it, right? So in other words, that if you can't at that point realign yourself with God, realign yourself with your spiritual higher self, then you can go ahead and set a time for it after. So the main thing is when you feel that heaviness, you don't just swallow it down and say, it's okay. I'll be the bigger. I love the way we say this. I'll be the bigger one. I'm not going to respond. Yeah, where do you think that non-responsive response? Where do you think that
Right.
went?
Right.
Lost energy, sitting in a part of your body, waiting for a trigger to just tick you as a ticking time bomb, and that will explode
Right.
because that needs to be addressed. So choosing a time that you can go ahead and you can address the way you felt yesterday, the day before, a week ago, a month ago, sit down and practice closing your eyes, attaching yourself to your higher self, the way I teach everyone to attach to their higher self. For those who practice Jewish faith, right? We go into the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, which is really the way that we write out God's name. For others, it's about really connecting to the idea that we have a higher self. And yes, Hashem, the way we call God in the Jewish faith, is the God of all people. But, to each his own where you're coming from. But it's to know and to expand to a place that you are more than your physical body.
Mhm.
Just to connect to that and say, I am more than the physical being that I feel myself to be. And I'm more than the pain that I'm experiencing right now. I'm so much more than that. And then to see it's really a spontaneous springboard to allow, first of all, you cultivate this sense of like higher being, right? And again, how is this done? Through breathing, through meditation, through grounding, feeling your feet safely placed on the ground, your back against the chair, your hands on your arm, on the armrest, conscious work. You have to bring awareness back to you, not to be hijacked, to be reactive based on programs and conditionings that you
Yeah.
have adapted throughout your life, because that makes you feel like you have no free will. Oh, this is the way I responded. No, 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 bring it back to you and say, you know what, I choose tapping. I love that. Yes, 100%. There are a lot of other ways: aromatherapy, intuitive listening, again, sound therapy, so many. Bring
Yeah.
yourself, bring the consciousness back to you. That's where free will lies.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so powerful. So, so powerful. And that can happen in a couple seconds.
Yes.
It can take a couple seconds to just remember, oh, I am not this physical experience right now. I
Right.
am connected to a divine power. There is more than this moment.
Yes.
It takes a second.
Yep.
It's so simple and it's, I'm just at the beginning of the mothering journey. I have an 18-month-old. So this is
God
and
willing, many more. Full house.
amen, amen. I'm
Yes.
so excited for it. And I love that you're sharing this because even with him, there's so many moments where I'm just like, okay, that was not my best moment. That was not my higher self. So it's like, how much more so when there's going to be a ton in here and more kids, and it's very hard for us to always stay in that. So what you're saying is like that instead of beating ourselves up, it's just like, okay, let me just reconnect. I'm just going to reconnect back. And it's
Yes.
not we're not shoving it away, the reaction, the response, the feeling. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to deal with it when I have the time, when it's not, like you said, 10 kids screaming at you and needing you in that moment.
Right.
But to get through the moment, pull on a higher power
Right.
rather than let my reaction, my templates, which I love that understanding, that conceptualization of it, not letting that run the show because then I'm not in charge. And it feels so the way you describe that, like I think all of us can relate. Tell us in the chat. It's like deflating. And you don't realize it. You're angry, you're upset, you're resentful, you're blah 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 blah. You don't realize that you think you're like taking power, but you're actually completely powerless in that moment.
Right.
You
Right.
don't have any choice.
Right, exactly. And so again, I do believe that this is completely aligned with the idea of Emuna, that you have trust and faith. And I always say that Emuna is something in the future. I believe only that which I don't necessarily logically see or understand at this moment. So Emuna is a futuristic energy. Emuna really, like you translated it to mean faith, but it's more faithfulness, it's loyalty to the idea that I know that there is good here, that good
Wow.
will
Wow.
prevail. Not only that good will prevail in the world, but good will come out of this painful situation. And it's not for naught that the birthing experience, that the divine, that God put into creation, is connected to the heightened peak. Everything in life, notice, everything in life is always compared to the pain of labor. Do you notice that? Like, like women, when you talk about something like it was as bad as me contraction,
Right.
like everything is compared to that, because that's like
Yeah.
the peak of like the pain. Like that's how you, even men, when they talk about kidney stones, it's like and the woman who's felt kidney stones, she'll say like, well, kidney stones is as bad as having contractions and having a baby, right? So like that is like the measuring bar of pain. Physical pain
Right.
is
Yeah.
contraction. And yet
Right.
it's all
Yeah.
about the birthing,
Yeah.
right? It's all about birthing. We
Yeah.
are giving birth to something beautiful. And pain, here we see, is part of the birthing.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that it's a matter of how we perceive it, and to be aligned to that truth, that
Yes.
God is bringing love and light into our life. That it's not for naught that you say, number one, growing pains, and number two, no pain, no gain. That
Right.
pain is, you go to the gym to build muscle, and the next day you're in agony because your muscles are pain. And okay, how much you stretch, building muscle is painful, and yet you still go back again. Why? Because you cherish the pain. You recognize that the pain has value. It's
Yeah.
building something.
Yeah.
So if we could look at life that way and recognize that's the divine, so to speak, that's one of the divine elements in inviting pain in our lives. It's a trigger to get us to do something and to
Yeah.
appreciate the growth, right?
Yes, yes. And imagine when we're in the practice of when that trigger comes up, when someone has upset me or I'm reacting, um, it when I pause and instead connect to a higher power, or I'm with, wait, what was that trigger? What's the core of that? What template just got shaken up a little bit? When I'm with that, imagine how expansive that is, how much I grow
Right.
in that moment. Now, I'm not going to do that growth. I'm not going to reconnect to the higher power if that thing didn't just come at me. Right. So all of these things, like, it's just here for me. I get to grow now. I'm going to develop my.
Reminders.
And
Reminders.
and I don't think either of us would say this is easy. It's a constant awareness, a constant
Yeah.
coming back to. Um, it's so, so, so important. And I would love if you could, we're talking so much about this. Well, I want to just mention one thing and then I have a question for you, but I want all of you to also understand that on a physiological level, when you have that reaction, okay, there's a stress response that happens in the body. So you're having an emotional reaction, okay, whether it's anger, resentment, fear, sadness, rejection, whatever. That emotional reaction is going to result in a cascade of hormone release. So then there's a hormone release, and that hormone release affects the organs and how they function. Okay, so this is happening on a biological, physiological level. In that moment that you then catch yourself, it doesn't mean, oh, the damage was done because the hormones were already released. It actually, what it then does is sends a signal to the body, oh, the danger passed. Whatever that issue was, that stress, it passed. And so this is really incredible. I've actually never fully thought this through, but this is what I'm realizing is really powerful. If I'm in the reaction and I just let that reaction take over, okay? So then it's a chronic, it's an ongoing stress response,
Right.
okay? That stress response is not healthy for the body. If it's an acute stress response, it lasted a couple seconds, maybe even a couple minutes, but then I was able to, now I'm going to go be with that emotion. It becomes an acute stress response. The body thrives. It does so well in acute stress. In acute stress, it's going to put you into peak state. It's going to boost your immune system. It's going to heal what needs healing. It's going to
Right.
actually reduce inflammation. It's going to do some cleanup work. Okay. So it's just so interesting that when you then deal with that reaction in a really, let's say, Emuna
Right.
way,
Okay.
right? In that faithfulness, that loyalty to there's good here, big picture, long term,
Yes.
futuristic, then you actually trigger you shift your hormones, your cells on a physiological level. I've never realized that you can trigger an acute stress response by processing your emotions. I just
Yeah.
knew at least you're not going in the chronic stress direction,
Right.
but you actually activate acute. And that's
Yes.
a
And one of the purposes of doing that is because we don't realize that just like there's an expansion of outer world, there's galaxies and deep depths in the sea and so on and so forth. Just like there's so much more depth in the world, the physical world as we know it, there's so much depth to the inner world. And there's dormant energy, there's dormant potential and skills and courage and wisdom and resilience that is hiding inside of us.
yeah,
And the only way to get that moving is to come out of the norm and the comfort zone and the habitual, like one of the things the Baal Shem Tov brings down is, I'll say it in Hebrew, but I'll translate it in English. He says, don't do mitzvot melumada. Don't do mitzvahs. Don't fulfill your commandments, right? Your divine instructions that you know that you need to fulfill to align yourself to your spiritual self. Don't do them out of habit. Don't do them out of rot. Do it out
yeah,
of a place of your heart. Bring in your heart. Rahman Ali Babaya, bring out your heart. I want to feel your heart in everything that you're doing because I
Wow.
want that secretion of hormones. I want that,
Oh,
I want that life force to pump through you when you're
oh
doing
my,
it. Don't be robotic. That's Rabbi
this,
Nachman says, don't be old, be young, right? Rabbi
I,
Nachman, his great grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, he says, don't be old, be young.
oh, that's so, I love this. I love this. I just want to say because you're so, we reference Baal Shem Tov so much. I just have to show you
Yes.
this. So I keep, this is one of
Oh,
the,
I know. Yes, I know that book.
I don't know if you can see it. There you
Yes,
go.
yes. Now I could see it. Yes,
Okay.
all the Baal Shem
So
Tov.
I, when I was going, when I started working with clients, um, I got deeply, deeply into the Baal Shem Tov, and I basically got to a point where like I don't know, I felt so guided that, and one of my teachers actually told me like you need to have something of his with you everywhere, like as a protection even. He was just like, because you're doing such
Wow.
deep work, and he was just like the energy that's opening, like it's a good thing, it's a beautiful thing, but there's all kinds of forces in the world. He's like, you need it as protection. But it also just for me feels like a guide. So like I literally keep this out. It's not like on some other shelf. I don't know how to make you guys see this.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard when you have the
I can
background,
send you
right?
guys a picture, but it like literally stays next to me,
Wow.
because it's just, I mean, listen to everything you've said. It's constantly coming back. It's constantly coming back. The wisdom here. It's a technology. It's a technology, and it's how do we navigate the world as souls in bodies? And he has given us these tools, and thank God people like you to really distill it and bring that out in such a powerful way. I mean, you have a grasp on it way more than I do. I'm like, okay, wait a second. I need to go back through all these books and like she's got it totally, it's amazing. But this is a technology that I want everyone to understand. This is ancient.
Yeah,
This has been around, like, this is not, this wisdom exists way longer than modern medicine, way
yeah,
longer than modern medicine. And the technology is how to navigate this world by being while you're in this physical body. So
right.
you're in a reality that constantly feels limiting. You constantly feel like you're separate from God, but you're not. You are this intensely powerful cosmic being.
Yes,
You also have that divine limitlessness. How do you activate that power?
right.
This is really what, and you've now distilled this so beautifully into healing trauma, healing physical illness. I mean, it's so profound that you're like you're a Baal Shem Tov practitioner. It blows me. It's so
You know
cool.
what? It's interesting that you say that because I do feel like a lot of the healing work that I'm involved in is really so aligned with the way and the pathways of our Hasidic masters. Listen, from a Torah perspective, all energy healing is ultimately from Hashem, right? It's not, it is about your personal effort, but you're not so overly attached to your personal effort. It's about making yourself into a vessel to receive divine light. And the way
Yes.
you do that is by creating awareness that life is not all about what I see, what I experience. One of the things I teach in my energy training program, therapy training program, is just like you have five outer senses, you have five inner senses. You can see within, you can hear within, you could taste within, you could smell within,
Oh,
you could
wow.
touch within, right?
Wow.
And it's about being in touch with this. The energy image is not static, right? It's we're living, breathing organisms. I say life happens. Happens. Our state of wellness can go from exile to redemption, exile to redemption. I love this. I hate this. I want to live. I hate everyone, right? And it's okay. Again, these
Yeah.
are parts of self, but it's all about how can I go above and beyond, and that's the unifying force, and that's the force that resonates in the entire universe, this energy force, right?
Yeah.
Healing with Emuna means I am spiritually aligned. I recognize all of my life as a spiritually guided process to come
Mm.
back to my divine healed, already healed,
Yeah.
perfected state.
Yes.
And it really is, rather than an energetic process, it's a spiritual process to align myself with the Emuna of the greater good in everything that I'm going through.
Oh my gosh. Orit Esther, this is so powerful. This is such a gift.
Thank you, Hashem.
Such a gift, and everything that you are saying is so real, and to be like that is real. That I love how you translated Emuna. It's a loyalty, and I'm staying loyal to the version of me that is healed on
Yeah,
all levels,
yeah,
right? It's not just physical, because the emotional is what's going to heal that physical, right? And staying in that, and that's, this is just such a beautiful full circle conversation.
mm,
I hope I know I'm seeing in the chat. I know you're focused with us, but I'm seeing both.
yeah.
And just it's so touching for so many people and so inspiring. And
Thank you.
I'm so, so grateful to you. If you can just, I know we got to let you go. And I'm going to share with everyone also before we end, I'm going to tell you guys how you can also work with Orit Esther and some really fun gifts and surprises she has for you. Before we go there, do you mind sharing? Could you share maybe one or two just anecdotes of maybe how someone has experienced physical wellness, vitality through going through this process, this kind of work? Maybe a client story.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the regular norm, the run-of-the-mill people, the people who come in with sciatica pain, with migraines. Yes, look at me, autoimmune diseases,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of different ailments, digestive issues, a lot of digestive issues going on in the world right now. We can't
Yeah.
digest life. We're having a hard time releasing what we
Mhm.
knew and really chewing life.
That's
Teeth issues,
wow,
mouth
so
issues, issues
profound.
to do with our digestive tract. A lot.
Wow.
And this is all the dot. This is knowledge. Like it's all connected to the way we process, life. Um,
Wow.
and all I could say to you is that, it's definitely very complex, but if you get to understand your inner world, if you get to pay attention to your inner world, and again, I'm not one. Listen, I still take my MS meds. I'm on Mavenclad. Like I'm still. I go to see my MS doctor. I don't want to. I don't want to bash the conventional medicine world. That's not what I'm about. I call energy therapy a complementary therapy. And
Yeah.
have I seen miracles? Absolutely. Have I seen people literally not taking cholesterol medicine? Whoa. Have I seen women and men who are on glucophage and insulin not taking it? Yes, 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 yes. I was just saying this to my current training program. If I wanted to, I can really publicize this program so much more, have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people join the program. If I would just name some of the miracles, I don't do that. I
Yeah.
purposely don't do that because I don't want anybody stopping to believe in God, first of all.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to take this as the be all ends all. But
Yeah.
we don't practice magic, but magical things happen, in doing this type of work, aligned with Hashem, which is why the name is so important, or Emuna. It's really about going into that enlightened state of Emuna. And another word, I'll give you another twist on the word Emuna. Emuna is litamen, means to practice,
Wow.
train, right? They're
Love
all
it. It is.
share the
It's
same
work.
root, right? And so it's a practice. You said yourself, it's an day. That's why I hence was born Daily Dose of Emuna. If anybody wants to join the free blog, Daily Dose of Emuna,
Yeah. I get
that's
it.
where it came from. Every day you need a dose of Emuna. I think every second you need it, but every
Yeah.
day you need a dose of Emuna. Yeah,
It's amazing. It's so beautiful. Okay, wow. So we are going to put your link in the replay page with some
great.
notes. I want to share with everyone that Orit Esther is generously offering a 10% off code. It'll also be on the replay page for any of her recorded programs. Okay, so you can go on her website, you can sign up for one of her programs, 10% off, super generous. And for the first three people who want to sign up to work with her. It's a 6 session series to work with her. The first three people who reach out to work with her, you get 20% off. This is a massively generous gift. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience.
Yeah.
And more than anything, for sharing your time, your wisdom. This has been such, I mean, I'm like flying. I don't know. I it's I'm
Mhm.
you know what? and swimming. I feel like I'm just like surrounded in this beautiful divine
Well,
light.
it's you. It's you. You're divinely beautiful, and everything that you're doing is divinely beautiful and essential in the world. And I always say, my whatever I'm putting out is a reflection of you. You know that you really you've just your journey is just phenomenal, and it's very inspiring, and your work is beautiful. And so I really am very honored. Thank you for inviting me to be here, and keep going.
I'm so glad. I mean, both of us, we got a lot of work ahead, but I'm glad
Mhm.
we're both here doing it. And I would love to collaborate anytime. Everyone keeps asking about the replays. You guys will get a link to the replays very soon. Um, and then we'll also put, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? They're
The
asking.
best thing is oremuna.org, OREMUNA without the H.org, ORG. There's a contact tab there. But really the main thing is you can, just scan. There's so much to skim through on the website. I'm involved with a lot of things. I have a podcast on Spotify. I, have classes on
I
Torah
have no idea how you do it all.
YouTube channel, social media platforms. We do live work. And I mean, if you want, I'm happy to, I live in Israel, but I'm happy to travel to different communities. I come out, I give workshops with my team. We just finished a whole series of Inner Glow workshops, which is a 7-hour workshop beyond. I'm here, I'm available. Everything's through the contact tab on the website.
Okay, amazing. You guys take advantage of this. This is so, so special. What a beautiful soul. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we just want to give a blessing to everybody here that you should experience complete healing right now, that the
Mhm.
divine should bring you that healing. And you're absolutely right. It all comes from the divine. We're just a vessel. And I hope that this conversation created even more space for that healing energy to come into the world.
Amen.
Thank
Amen
you.
for everybody.
Esther.
Thank you.
All right. See everybody soon in 1 hour, 1 p.m. with Neely Grudman. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.